don't remember where I was now.
You're talking about your fire team.
Oh yeah.
The OIF2.
Yeah,
Rosa, Rigoli, and Vu.
Yep, Rosa, Rigoli, and Vu. I actually got, I want to say, in December, and we deployed in January or February. I don't remember now. And so they were like brand new, and the fact that I had a whole team of brand new guys was actually kind of cool because it made me feel better because they gave like the junior fire team leaders, because I was just a junior Marine compared to our, you know, the corporals that had come in from other battalions and stuff. So they got, you know, the other squads gave the senior Marines all the fresh guys, you know, out of SOI, and then, you know, all the guys that were about right around my era, they all got like, you know, someone else that was a lance corporal but just didn't hold a billet, and then maybe two guys or one new guy, and they only had a three-man team. But I felt good because Lightfoot chose me to have the three new guys just because he knew that I would take care of them and do a good job with them. And
so can you describe the personalities of each of the guys in your fire team?
Yeah, Rose is pretty quiet. He's a little bigger of a guy and not that good as far as PT goes, but he can hold his own, and especially with humping, he can carry a load, you know. But as far as running goes, he wasn't much of a runner, but he's still a good Marine. You know, he'd give you the shirt off his back. Real good personality.
What billet did he have?
He was my A gunner. He carried the 203 for me over there, and how to say it, like, not much of a ladies' man, if you know what I'm saying, you know, as far as like, he wasn't that smooth, you know, he didn't have the agility, you know what I'm saying, I don't know how to explain it, there's just maybe it's just me. There's an agility that I like to see in Marines where they're smooth from one thing to another to another and another, and they're very versatile.
Right.
He seems like he's real good with computers.
A little bit stiff?
Yeah, a little stiff. Yeah. But he's a great kid, you know, give you the shirt off his back. Rigoli was my saw gunner. I gave him the saw because he was good at PT, good all-around Marine, but I could see that he had a little arrogance as far as like, or belligerent, I don't really know. Not like towards me, because he always did anything and everything I said, but like towards his peers, which was interesting. You know, kind of act like, ah, you're a dirtbag, you're a corporal, you know. You know, he was real courteous to his senior Marines, but you know, didn't really blend in with his peers. You know, he needed to hang out with. He always felt like he needed to hang out with the senior Marines and stuff, which was kind of hard for him. But he was strong PT. That's why I gave him the saw, and he had good common sense. And I knew he'd know where to employ the saw when I wanted it. And he kind of, you know, after he worked with me for a while, that's when we got to know each other, and that's when he knew, you know, all right, Code Bellmont's going to want me to put this over here, so let's, you know, I'm just going to do this. And then I gave him Rosa. You know, Rosa was more in his charge, and then I would micromanage Rigoli, you know, with where he's putting Rosa, because he and Rosa were always, you know, a team. If it broke down into, you know, two teams of two, right, it was him and Rosa together, and then me and Vu. Vu was my point man. My rifleman, he always just carried a A4, and with an ACOG. He's a real good Marine to this day. He's at the time he was probably the most squared away new guy that we had. He was very respectful for his senior Marines. Very quiet as far as like, you know, he ain't gonna complain. You know, he never complained. He just did what he was told. And he always, if he thought you were wrong about something, he would actually, he would do it tactfully with second guessing. He would be like, if he knew it was right, but if he knew there wasn't time to second guess, he would just go and then ask later. You know, is this? So he had good common sense, and he's a good PTer and just a all around square away Marine, real good kid.
What about the other fire team leaders in the squad?
The other fire team leaders, we had Larson, and then Coleman only had himself and G2 to worry about. Garcia, we called him G2, and that was just because we had 2 fire teams of 4 and then 2 guys left over versus going 2 fire teams of 5. It was just easier to work this way. And Coleman was a smart enough kid, senior. He was junior to me, but senior to like Rosa Rigoli and Vu's era. So he was in the middle, and he could take care of himself, and so could G2. G2 was in the same group, you know, from SOI. So they got there same time. So they took care of each other. It's just that Coleman had more, initiative, I guess, than G2. Garcia was real quiet, so he didn't get the job. But Corporal Larson was a corporal, and I was just a lance corporal. But he and I were always butting heads because I still think to this day he was just a meathead. So he and I were always butting heads, and Corporal Lightfoot knew that. But he really wasn't happy when I got first team leader and he got demoted to second team leader. He was kind of pissed off about that, and he always got in my face about, like, one time we were actually on the border of Syria and Iraq, like right in the no man's land, and he starts yelling at me about, I'm an NCO, and I'm like, the whole squad standing there, and I'm like, we don't need to do this right here, you know. I'm like, we're both team leaders. I was like, we pull this out to the side. He starts screaming at me more. I'm an NCO. I'm like, that's right, you are. I'm like, no, act like one, you know. And he tried to actually make me get down and start pushing, you know, right there, and I'm like, you got me on a crack. I'm like, no, you know. So he thought he was going to get me in trouble. Turns out he just got in trouble because he wasn't acting professional at all. He and I didn't get along at all. He was, like, he had long hair, and then he was the type of guy to have real long hair, and then he cut it real short in the bottom, you know, so it looked like a mushroom. You know, I thought this looked stupid, but it was his way of, like, rebelling. You know, he's just about to get out of the Marine Corps, doesn't care about anything, so he's just going to let his hair grow out because he can. And, I don't know.
What was your relationship like with the other team leader?